I can understand where the challenge is for you. And now you can build your own stuff. You can have something that you love, that you have consistency over, that you can control, that you know that sure, logically, we all know that, hey, we have value. But I hope that emotionally, subconsciously, you believe that one day.
I mean, you saying that, and honestly, I didn't even think about that because the podcast is, and that's why when I said I wanted to start it in 2020, and then when I started the live streaming, I told everybody, I'm not gonna do this until I know I can be consistent. Because
all right, man, excited for this one. One of the cool things about what we're doing now is that we have we're having a mix of people that I went to school with, and then brand new people from all over the country / the world. And so it's always cool to have someone from down the block, someone I grew up around. Trent, please introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up? I mean, I'm Trent or Tino from Tino's time. I feel we've known each other, bro, for years. I feel like I was even talking to Corey this morning about it. And I was telling him how I was doing this with you guys and everything, and it's just so crazy how long it's actually been. But yeah, so I feel like we'll get into a lot of it. But yeah,
absolutely, we have a lot to talk about. We definitely need to fill the gaps because we've you mentioned that it's been years, and it's been that long. It's at least been at least a decade since we've actually had like a long conversation. And even throughout our time knowing each other, I've known you since like I think elementary school, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, because you went to because I went Kirkstra. Was it? Yeah,
yep.
Kirkstra. Yeah, Kirkstra. I get confused, man, because there was a high school at one point, and they were like switched at one point.
That's true. Yeah.
So I always get confused, and yeah, because I recently moved to Wisconsin, but I went back to Chicago a bunch, and it seems like every time I go now, I drive past Kirkstra and Jack Hilly every time, and I never used to drive past when I actually lived there. So it's just like, why do I do it now?
Yeah, well, a lot has changed from the time that we were in school, because I know my even when my sister went through, she's 9 years younger than me. She's been telling me about a lot of stuff that they were doing, even when she went through Kirkstra, and so things are always evolving and changing. So it's nice to catch up and see what's different. But what's been going on with you? I know since high school you've had a lot of stuff come up for you. You're working now on you have a sports type podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, where do you want to start?
I mean, hey, at the end of the day, we could start. Let's say from we're going to talk about it all anyway. So why don't we start? Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Why don't we start with I don't know, from our childhood, because that's really how long we've known each other.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, elementary school, middle school, because we went to school together, and I actually I moved away from the area that we grew up in,
right?
Like my sophomore year of high school. So I ended up having to transfer from the school that we went to a school where I used to live. And I went there my sophomore, my junior, and my senior year. And I mean, I don't know if you knew, but I mean, and I talked to Jake about this and everything else, but it wasn't the greatest experience for me in middle school and elementary school and then high school. I got bullied a lot. I got made fun of. I got people and just all these things because for people that may not know, or maybe you do know, and you're just maybe this is the first time you're hearing from me since I left Oak Forest, but I do have cerebral palsy, and I've been dealing with it my whole entire life. Where my whole left side of my body, I like have a lazy eye. I can't really use. Is this going to be on video or is this just audio?
It's video and audio.
Okay, so I don't know if like people can see, but like my left hand is like it's not like and it's gotten better over the years. Like I used to I don't know if you ever remembered, I used to walk around like this. So like now like I'm able to do this and I'm able to like use it, or like I just yesterday literally just got Botox shots in it. And so like now it's like I used to like the fact like I'm even able to open my fingers like that. It's just incredible. But my whole life people would make fun of me. I had people walk around and say that my dad hit me with a hammer. I had people tell me that nobody would like me. I had girls tell me they would only date me if I wore a sweatshirt. They didn't want to be seen with a cripple. And all these just awful, awful things. And it all happened at Sandberg, where there was one time I had like a water bottle like this. It's green. Sorry, I got my green screen. But I had like a Crush bottle like this, and somebody literally took it and threw it out the window because they were just mad at life or whatever. And I was just like, really? So it wasn't the greatest end of my high schooling experience, but I got through it. I did what I had to do. And, I didn't give up because that was the biggest thing. And, I will talk about it more, but I'm a big wrestling fan. And even though he's a bad guy now, Mr. Hustle Loyalty did respect John Cena, you know. So
right.
it's just one of those things that I wasn't gonna drop out. I wasn't gonna, you know, and it sucked, but I got through it. I did what I had to do and everything else like that. And that's kind of like throughout going through high school and everything. People always told me, and I even remember doing this. You remember in like 8th grade when we had to do that? Like, what are you gonna be when you're older? Where do you want to go to college? Right. And I remember saying, I'm gonna go to broadcasting school and I want to be a sports broadcaster. And for people that don't know, because I really didn't talk a lot, I didn't have too many friends. I had like my few core friends like Corey and Alex and stuff like that. But like I didn't have too many people. And I was always shy and afraid to talk to people because the people I did talk to would bully me. And it was just like I was afraid. It was just that at some point I just stopped. And there were a lot of things that happened at Sandberg where it was like I missed a lot of days and everything. But it got to the point where I just finally was like, you know what, I just got to get through it and get over it because I can't be one of those. And I want to do something with my life. And it's, you know, with like my family, I'm actually one of the only few people that actually has graduated every single type of school, from middle school, high school, college, and everything. And it's just one of those things that I always said. And, you know, and we'll talk about my college experience later, but yeah, so high school just wasn't the greatest and it wasn't the best, and you know, but yeah. So once I got out of high school and everything, I took a little bit of a break and everything. And people have always told me since I was like 2005, I don't know how old we were, like 9 years old, I've been watching wrestling. You know, Triple H, John Cena, Batista, and it became like my comfort. So like that was like what I would watch and that would you know, and there were a few friends I would talk to about it, but wrestling at the time wasn't cool. So nobody liked it. They were just, you're watching wrestling, you're lame, you know. And so never really talked about it. But my whole entire life, my family was always like, you got the voice for it. You got this, you got that. You know sports. I used to write raps about the White Sox. And like the 2005 White Sox, I had a song that just about, I wish I still had the piece of paper. I told my mom, I was like, I wish we kept that notebook. But I could name lineups. I could do my sports became my life. And I've always just known so much. So I finally was just like, you know, after I got out, I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like, I need to find something to do because I can't, like, you know, I was working at Giordano's. I worked at freaking like a couple places. I worked with my uncle and I needed to do something. So my dad found the Illinois Media Broadcasting School in Lombard. And then there was one downtown. So we actually went to the one downtown first and we checked it out. But at the time I was very afraid to drive and I like didn't know how to take the train. And the farthest I ever went downtown was like to the Sox Stadium and everything else. So like, I don't know. So we found the one in Lombard, which is a little bit closer. And the program was only eight months, I think, something like that. And so it was just one of those things that it was close. It was easy. It was like 3 days a week from like 9 to 2. So it was just, you know, yeah. But biggest problem that I had is when I went, because my parents kind of like forced me to. But like I said, I was working at Giordano's. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a car. So it became then it was just, I was having to ask people for rides. it was a pain in the butt. And then I finally got a car, but you know how getting your first car goes. It's, you know, shaking. It's the beater. It's $1,000 beater lemon. So that's what I'm driving back and forth to Lombard from Orland Park. And so it was like 40 minutes. And I didn't drive on the expressway because I literally just started driving on the expressway when I first moved to Wisconsin. So I still never drove on the expressway. So it would take me a little bit longer. And I started having so much anxiety. And then I ended up getting into a car accident. And somebody hit me and rear-ended me at Dave & Buster's. So then I lost my car and I wasn't able to go to school at all. But as I said earlier, I didn't stop. I kept going. I tried to figure out ways to do stuff. I figured out ways to do the work. I stayed after a little bit. There was a teacher. Once I ended up getting a different car that helped me, and I graduated on time with everybody else because I wasn't going to stop. I wasn't going to not do it because, as I said, I wanted to do something. And what happened at the broadcasting school, I don't know, something clicked in my head, but even having a conversation with you, like I said, like it like all like clicked. And sadly, it was at the end of it. And I'm kind of mad now because the way I am now, I wish I could go back to school and be like, listen, because there was one thing they were like because it was the year the Cubs won the World Series, of course, the year that like it was popular and the Cubs and blah, blah, blah. So they were like, try to compare the 2005 White Sox and the 2016 Cubs. Well, I'm like, and I remember, I'm like, well, the White Sox went 9-1, or they went 11. Like I didn't talk. I just talked slow. I talked like this and that. And now I'm just like give it to me. I could let 11-1. They had the best pitching. Like I'm just, you know, and there was something that just finally clicked with me where it was just like, So I went to broadcasting school. I finished. It was what it was. The one thing I will say, though, is ever since I did graduate in 2018, they haven't helped me. They never helped me get an internship. They never helped me do anything. And I've talked to people, and they also said that they have not helped them. So the school helped me, and it definitely got me to what I needed to do and learn a lot of things. But it also, they didn't like follow up with what should have been and what could have, been a lot more of. So after I graduated and everything, and I think it was like the end of 2018. So 2019, I really didn't do anything. And then we all know what happened with COVID. We all got stuck in the house. But for me, that like changed my life to where like I started opening up and everything. And I went through a really bad time in that period. Like I said, I got into a car accident, a couple other things happened. I had a couple family members die. It was just a lot. So COVID, like being in the house, being not like stuck, but just being able to like kind of like relax for a second and not having to worry about driving, not worry, all this and that. I finally had the time to start Tino's Time. So I started Tino's Time in 2020, and I started it on Spotify and SoundCloud because I was afraid to show my face. I still had that kind of anxiety where I was like, I don't want to show my face. I'm scared. Like, and I was still kind of not the best, and I wasn't talking like whatever, but I definitely had a lot more confidence than I did. So for a couple of years, I did that, and the numbers were good. And somebody was like, why don't you start a YouTube channel? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I never even thought about it. And I still was afraid to show my face. So I finally thought about it. And what I did was first is I talked to a few people. I started trying to like talk to a few people on like Twitter and stuff. And I went on a podcast with a few people to try to get comfortable doing it because I was never comfortable and I was scared. And I'm one of those where if I have like practice, I'm good. I just need like, and I'm especially like visual learner. If you show me something, like I'm just very good at that. So I went on a few podcasts and everything, and me and this guy started doing a podcast. And he was the one that was trying to like get it going. And in the comments, people are like, we kind of like Trent or Tino more because my name's Trent and my full name's Trent Tino. So that's where Tino comes in from. And my cousins gave me the nickname. So it was Tino. And then the podcast, like you said earlier, is about sports, wrestling, football, baseball, gaming. That's everything I do in my spare time. So that's how we got Tino's Time. So people are like, oh, we love Tino. Why is he so much better? Why, like, this and that. And the guy kind of just stopped like doing it. But I've always been that person that said when I started this, I wasn't going to stop. So I did that a little bit in 2021 because I wanted to. And wrestling, I mean, I don't know. Are you a big wrestling fan? Or, I mean,
now I'm more of a fan than I used to be. My roommate is super into wrestling, and I grew up with wrestling. My brothers used to all the time throw the people's elbow, used to choke slam me. In fact, my oldest brother broke a bed choke slamming me, and that's memories I have from when I was a child. And so now as an adult, for me, it was more, I mean, you could see kind of in my background figures, Dragon Ball was really like the main thing I had in my, throughout my childhood into my adulthood. And, but wrestling has become a more recent thing for me actually. And I started to get back into it again, like when I was a kid. So it's fun to see it, every now and again, see characters that I saw when I was a kid still active. So yeah, to answer your question, that's something that I have gotten more into now.
Yeah, so that was my biggest thing. And I started with baseball and football because I love my White Sox, I love my Bears. But the numbers weren't doing the best, and the numbers weren't doing the greatest. And the White Sox are the worst team in all of MLB history because God forbid they could learn how to win a baseball game, So people were like, wrestling. And as I said earlier, I've been watching wrestling since 2005. That's why I asked you. So I know every WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. Like I could tell you who main evented, and I've now rewatched every WrestleMania since WrestleMania 1. So people are like, this, you got to do something. And I was like, well, what do I do anyway? Every Monday, every Raw, SmackDown, they got NXT, Dynamite, AEW. If people watch that, it's not the greatest, whatever. But I'm watching it anyway. So I'm like, why don't I start doing watch-alongs? I'm sitting here anyway doing it. Why not just hang out with people and start trying to build my community more? Because, we sit here and watch it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people now that I've met that don't have like Netflix or Peacock or because they're all on different streaming apps now. So they come and hang out with me, and I'm like the play-by-play guy, kind of the announcer, So I started doing that, and the first ever show I did was actually, we just hit our 4-year anniversary Saturday.
Congrats, man.
Because we're four, something like that, I think. But WrestleMania 41 was Saturday. So we started at WrestleMania 38. And you could go back and watch, and I definitely tell people too, because it was one of the worst live streams I think I've ever done in my life. It was live for 20 minutes. I didn't know I was live. There was background music. There was the echoing. It was just really bad. And I figured it out. We got it going and everything. But from there on out, I started doing it, and I did it every single day. And from here on out, I may have taken maybe the most a week break, but I'm live every Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I was live for AEWs before they just became boring, and I needed a day to relax because I'm tired of watching nonsense. And it's just like you said, like wrestling. Like you started to get back into wrestling. For a long time, WWE sucked. It was awful. It was like a rebuilding with the baseball team. It was like guys were just not being used. Vince didn't know what he was doing, and and I'm sure you know what's going on now with The Rock,
of course,
TKO.
Of course, yeah.
All of that in the last couple of years, it's been phenomenal. And the fact like you are getting back into it for somebody that like maybe has never watched it, or like my best friend Corey, Corey, I'm sure.
Right.
So he's gotten back into it a lot, and he was a big Rey Mysterio fan and everything, and he doesn't watch it like he used to. But for a period of time, I'd be like, "You watching Raw?" He's like, "No, that's stupid." And it's funny you mentioned rivalries. Yesterday, they just made official that John Cena and Randy Orton are going at it for the first time since 2017, and it's just one of those things that is just. It's crazy. So I started doing them, and I went live every single week. The views didn't start off great, but then I went live for a SummerSlam, and I don't know what happened, but I got somebody to like find me. I gained like a couple hundred or 200-300 subscribers in just that one episode. I went live for Ric Flair's first match or last match, like whatever year that was. I got like 10,000 views. I did a couple like Saudi shows. I got a couple like 5,000-6,000 views, and my subscribers, my watch hours, everything started going up, and I ended up becoming the live stream guy. And that's now what people call me on X. They're like, well, if you want to go watch your live streams, you know where to find them. He's always live every day, because I am. Like today and tomorrow are like the first 2 days that I've taken off to do anything, just to relax because of how tired I am from WrestleMania. But I'm usually live if stuff's going on. And I do like the baseball stuff too. I still do the baseball, but we've kind of transferred that over to the Southside boys. And I have a couple co-hosts, and Deech and Justin, that help me out. And so that's been a lot better than the views were on Tino's time. So we kind of just separated it. So I use Tino's time a lot for wrestling, and it just ended up becoming the thing that, like I said, I know more about. There's things I talk to people about. They're like, how do you know this? I'm like, I literally just rewatched it. I don't know. Wrestling became that thing where like now it's the only thing I can fall asleep to. I put out a match and I can't even get through the entrance because I'm like, all right, it's like so relaxing that I can't like, so that's kind of the podcast experience and everything. So I'm actually only like 40 subscribers away to 3,000 on YouTube. I'm almost to 10K on Instagram. I'm almost on TikTok and all.
You're doing well, man.
Yeah,
I'm so happy.
It's crazy
to see that.
Because, as I said earlier, I didn't have any friends in high school. I didn't have any friends I had a few, and and like me and Jake talked about it. It was always that thing. Like I was afraid to talk because people were like, why are we going to talk to you and this and that? And it's funny now that I have people that are actually like wanting to talk to me, or people are reaching out to me that I've not talked to in years. And they're like, oh my God, you're doing a podcast. It's like, okay, well, where were you when I started it in 2020? Just because I got 3,000 subscribers now doesn't mean nothing. And I actually just hit 1 million views on my over WrestleMania week because, and that's the thing. I take advantage of that. People are like, why are you how do you grow so fast? How are you doing that? Bro, somebody gets hurt, I post. The match isn't made, I posted as soon as John Cena, Randy Orton got announced. I got like 5,000 views. It took me 12 seconds. So you got to take advantage of what you got to do, and that's the way to do it. And again, I understand people are busy and this and that, but then don't get mad when you're not gaining like other people, because I always say I'm always here to help. And and again, as long as you're not a dick or you're bad or you're mean or anything, I'm always just don't use me, and don't try to like use me for followers, because that's been a lot of the problem too, where people come on because they see how and they think that they're good, and it's just like, no, like it's not how it works. So
first of all, man, I think that like I see it. What you were talking about earlier, I actually it reminded me of, because I was trying to think of what were you like when we were younger, and when you mentioned that you were a little bit slower to talk, a little bit quieter, and then I was like, that's right. Now I remember that, and so it's so interesting that just how comfortable you've gotten, how confident you sound now, the difference in like that personality. Like I see it. I see that you've worked on and developed that. So it's like super cool to see the differences, because it's been so long that I had to kind of sit with it while you were telling me what you were like before. to think about. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's been
true.
that, bro. I don't even remember what I did last week. So sometimes, like
it took me a second to remember what it was like when you were younger, when I had that interaction with you when we were kids. And yeah, man, I do remember you were quieter, you were a little bit slower to talk. And I remember it was like social interactions were difficult for you.
yeah.
And I can see now how much you've improved, man. Like it's crazy.
And the biggest thing I think is I just stopped caring. It was just like, like with the wrestling, it was like, okay, if you don't like wrestling, then I don't care. Like, it's like I said, I was trying to fit in with what people liked, and I still try to do it, and I still have the anxiety, and I still have those moments, and things
Absolutely.
still happen. But I just have a way of like dealing with it, and I have a way of just, because I was having so much anxiety. There were times where like I just didn't want to go to school, and I just this and that, and the biggest thing that actually kind of helped me too, like around like 2018, 2020 time, is I started smoking. I started, and then I ended up, when it became legal, I ended up getting my medical marijuana card. And weed, people may not like it and this and that, but it helped a lot with my cerebral palsy. So I was able, like I said, I'm finally able to do this. I'm able to, like, I wasn't even able to, like, just stupid stuff like this, or like even grab my phone, or like a steering wheel, stuff like that, where it just like, it gave me the muscles and the like thinking clearer, where like I would have anxiety, where like, okay, like if you didn't text me back, like hypothetically, whatever, I would like, but why are you mad at me? What's wrong? Like, what you like, what, please, and I finally went, okay, people are busy, and this, and I still do get mad and I get upset when people don't respond, but I've also just realized it is what it is, and if people don't care, then and that's what I've learned a lot with the podcast, where it's like people seem to, as my numbers grow, that's when I hear from people. Sure. It's like, where were you when I had 100 views? Why haven't you, this and that? Or, because I am now making some money on YouTube. People are like, well, why aren't you making enough money? It's like, okay, well, then why don't you buy a t-shirt? And it's mostly my family. It's like, don't make comments if you're not going to support the channel.
That's the hardest thing when it's your family.
So it's just like, that's the thing. And it's just because they don't realize, the more people that see it, the more things, because like we went to Sox Fest this past year in January, and there was like 12 people that noticed me and all my co-hosts. And it's like, it's not even Tino's time. It's a completely different thing that, yes, I because a lot of people, and I always say it, I'm a very rare breed where I know a lot about baseball, football, and wrestling. Usually it's the other way. People only watch one or the other, or two or the other. They don't really watch all of them. Well, I could tell you, like, I do fantasy, I do, like this and that. I've definitely gotten like, a little like, as a little lazier as I used to be, but it's just, but yeah, so I'm still good.
You hone in on what it is that you prefer to work on, because at the end of the day, for me, there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to work on, but am I going to put as much effort into those things if I don't absolutely love it? Like if I'm not involved with it and love seeing it grow, I'm not going to put as much effort into it. And over time, that's how you gauge whether or not you want to stay into something, is you try it out, you see how you're doing it, and if it grows and you enjoy how it's growing and you like being a part of it, then you keep doing it. But then if not, then you just kind of trim the fat,
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a question for you about
anything. You ask me anything you want. You want to talk about any of the bowling? You want to talk anything? I'm an open book, man. Whatever you got. Well, I know I talked there for a while and I kind of went, but I figured I'd kind of get where we're at now. So
that's a lot. There's a lot to cover, man. There's a lot to cover. I appreciate you
all
filling
day.
Me in.
All day.
We have plenty of time, man. I'm not in any rush if you're not.
I got no rush. Nothing.
So I did want to ask you. You mentioned something to me that stood out, which was the thing you brought up about sometimes your family were the people that were kind of questioning you. But for growing up, you mentioned being bullied in school. Did you experience bullying in your family?
Yes, very much so. And I have a lot of abandonment issues. I have a lot of anxiety, and that's where a lot of it comes from. And a lot of it has to do with like girls, where it's like, like 2008 was a very bad year for me. My parents got divorced. My grandma died, and my other grandma got cancer. And so the grandma that died was the one, like, I would call her, and I was talking about the White Sox. I'd call her and be like, Paul Konerko just hit a home run. Oh my God. And she would just listen. Or I'd be like, White Sox won. Or I'd be like, John Cena just won. I would just call her whatever. And when she died, it kind of like, I didn't have that person. So even to this day, I still have that, where it's like, I just, and that's kind of like where like I've had the problems with, like, my dad is an alcoholic. My, my mom has always been there, but we've had our problems where, some situations have happened, but we've always worked through it. And now we have a better relationship and everything. But it was always hard because when I was in school, it was like I couldn't find a place to like. I would go to school, I'd get bullied, I'd go home, and it was like my house was okay. But now that I'm older, I like there was a lot of things that happened that were like not good and not okay. But like my house was the party house. Like Corey, Alex, everybody would come over. We had basketball, we had ping pong, we had a hot tub, a pool, we had a deck, we had it was wherever. And I think Jake actually may have came to a party or two. I'm pretty sure because and that was the thing. I would always invite everybody. And it would always be like the same 5 people that would show up. Or if people did, I had some people that actually showed up to a party, bullied me, and then left. Or brought one of my friends, made out with her in my room, and then left. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is going on right now? I'm like, you got like, come on now. Like, and that was just where like I had to stop doing parties because I had a hotel party one time and somebody decided to break down the door. And it's just like, you don't have the respect to just even like, it's just like, come on. It's just like, really, like, I don't care how drunk, I don't care whatever you're doing. You should have the ability when we're all 21 years old. Yes, now I'm talking about like 12 years later, but it just it was always the parties where it was just like, and it just kind of got to the point where I would invite like 5-6 people, but then like my dad would invite his friends, and then it would just become to like a giant party, and that was just so I think that was the biggest problem like with my family and everything, where it was like now that I'm older, I kind of understand it what was going on, but like at the time there's so much trauma that I have where like I had to go get the Botox shots yesterday. And the thing that I remember being like held down. I remember being like, there was like 6 people surrounding me. They would like play this loud ass like machine. And so like yesterday I'm going in there, this is what I'm expecting. And they're like, no, just sit there. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know this, you know what I mean? So I have a lot of things like that where it's like, now that I'm kind of by myself, it's kind of like, and that's kind of like with 2020, I think it helped so much because I was just finally able to like relax and go in like, and I got into a schedule. I started working. I did this and that because and that was the thing is like I said earlier, I was working at Giordano's, and then I started doing like Uber and DoorDash and everything else like that. And it's not the greatest amount of money, but it was steady money to where like Giordano's, I was only working 2 days a week because I didn't have a car. But then I got, so.
So how early? I'm sorry. How early was it when you knew that you might have something like a condition? Like, when were you suspicious of it early on,
like the cerebral palsy or like anxiety, ADD? Like, because I got ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression.
Well, why don't we start with cerebral palsy?
So, I mean, I've always known I've had it, but it was a lot worse as I was younger. And like I said, and that was the thing. Like, I don't remember if we ever had a class together, but I would be like taken out for like special classes. I would have teachers come and like pull me out. I would have to have people. I would have to use a clipboard, and then that was more stuff people would make fun of because they're like, "Oh, ha ha ha! Trent's being taken out by Mrs. McGeary." Blah blah blah. Yeah. And it's just like, well, again, like and it was hard because at the time, like again, I'll like it's easier. And this is how I walked. I wasn't able to like so like the fact like I'm able to like do this, I can like move it, I can like like all of this, I'm able to do all this now that I wasn't able to. So because it was so tight, and that's why like. The medical marijuana helps because it loosens the muscles to the point where like there's times I feel normal. I could like pick up my phone and I'm like, oh my God. Like, and it just, so, and that was the thing. But I mean, it was, I think I've always known because it didn't happen when I was first born. I was actually a twin. And so my brother was too weak and died. And I ended up having an allergic reaction to a DTP shot. And that's what caused I ended up having strokes and seizures. And that's what caused the cerebral palsy.
Can you explain what that shot is and what it's for?
Honestly, my parents, and to this day, they still won't tell me, and they don't like. There was like, it's one of those, and that's the other thing with my parents is they're like, oh well, we'll tell you when you're older. How much older do I have to be? I'll be 29 next week. Like I don't. My dad tells me. It's like he still thinks I'm 16, and it's like come on, Dad. Like what? Why? And it's just like and that's the thing. So I don't know if I'll ever know. But I guess it was just a shot. It was a pertussis shot, or I don't know. They've told me like 6 different stories, and I don't trust nobody because like even yesterday we went to my mom. I was like, hey mom, I was like, do I have to come back? She goes, no. And then I asked the doctor. He goes, yeah, we'll see you in 3 months. I'm like, why can't you just tell me the truth? It's not that complicated. Like I would rather know the truth and expect, okay, I got to go back in 3 months than expecting that was it. Because again, it goes back to being lied to about like everything. It just so. Well, yeah, the cerebral palsy has always been, but it's only been like the last like 5-6 years since I started smoking that things have gotten better to where like the muscles. And now that like finally I'm out in Wisconsin, there's a lot of things that does help me out here that I am able to get these Botox shots. So now that I'm going every 3 months, I'm going to start going to therapy again. I'm going to start going to all this like I did in middle school and high school. But hopefully it all follows through, because I also don't remember if you remember. Do you remember me having a cast in middle school?
I do remember, yeah.
So I was having a cast because I was trying to straighten it.
Right.
So I would go to school for 2 days, Monday, Tuesday. I'd have to leave Wednesday halfway through the day, go get a cast on. I was in so much pain Thursday and Friday, I couldn't go to school. And then I'd have to go back Monday and Tuesday with the cast and then just repeat the process. So for like 8 weeks, it was just a constant thing. And my hand, bro, like my hand was like, it was weird. Like I was able to use it. It was like, it was cool.
Yeah.
And then my parents didn't get me the brace. And then it all went back down. And then, yeah. So I'm hoping if we follow through now, hopefully we can. But the problem is I was 14 at the time. Right. If it was back then and we did it, it might be a lot normal now. So I don't know how it's going to react now that I'm almost 30 and I'm a lot older. So I just, because there could have been a surgery, but they said the surgery could like make it worse. And that's what I don't want. Because like right now, you see, like I can use it. It like, you know what I mean? Like I can do this. I could like pick up my phone. Like I'm a little, this and that. But even just being able to like do that, like it just, or like just do like even my steering wheel, like, because even like my steering wheel, I have to have a ball on my steering wheel because I can't make my left turns.
Right.
So I have that on my license too, where it's like, if like you were to drive my car and you got pulled over, you could get in trouble. So like somebody, like if my mom drives my car, she has to take it off because it's on my license that I have it.
Right.
Because I can't, like I said, it's unsafe for, yeah. So
how do you think, if you had to give your parents an overall rating on what it is, how they handled your cerebral palsy, how would you reflect on that?
I think my mom and dad definitely did the best that they could, because I was supposed to be in a wheelchair. I was supposed to not be able to walk or talk. And the fact that I'm able to walk, I'm able to drive, I'm able to do this, I'm able to do that, I'm able to, everything. And the fact like me and you can have a normal conversation is I wasn't supposed to be like that. So it's like, even when I see people like that, it's just like, because people sometimes don't notice. And I don't tell people because it's usually, I've still had it happen because girls are just brutal still. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to talk to you because you're this and that. And it's just like, what do you mean you don't want? What? Why don't you get to know me? Because I'm the type of person I would do anything for anybody. I would drop everything if I have the opportunity. But I just want the same in return. And if that, like, that's, and it just, so like my parents did a lot. My mom's done like the best because they took me to therapy. She took me to doctors. She took me to all this and that. So I give my mom a lot of credit. And now that I'm older, I do understand a lot of things that happened at the house in Midlothian and where we used to live and all the things that, all the things that happened. So it's like, I get it now, but it all makes sense to now. I'm not having that anxiety because for years I was like, why wasn't I able to go in the bathroom? What is with this bathroom, bro? Like if you ever speak to like Corey or anything, but like this bathroom in my house was like, it was like infamous. I don't know. I didn't know what the heck was going on. And literally 7 years ago, I talked to one of my dad's friends and he goes, you want to know what was in the bathroom? I'm like, what? I'm like, let me guess. I'm like, let me just take a while. I'm like, were you guys doing something that you weren't supposed to? He goes, yeah. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but it was just something you're not supposed to do. So I was like, oh my God. Bro, the bathroom was locked. I wasn't locked. I would go in there. They're like, get out. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. What do you mean? Right. It's also my house. It's like, what are we doing here? And everybody was under the influence. Everybody was doing God knows what. And now that I'm older, I get that. And I understand it because my dad is the dad that has a red Solo cup in his hand all the time. And my mom isn't how she used to be. But when my mom does drink, I can see it. And it's like, oh my God, that's what it was. Because like, even to the point, like my parents would lie to me. They'd be like, oh, we're going to go downstairs. And then they never come back. And then I'd walk downstairs and they're sitting there talking there. It's just, and I had a lot of anxiety sleeping. I had a lot, especially after my grandma died, because the way my grandma died is I was talking to her on the phone and I was riding my bike up and down my driveway and my dad would bowl on Friday nights. So he went bowling and I would bowl after the Cosmic Bowling at Oak Forest and everything else like that. And we would have like friends come and everything else, whatever. And so we did all of that. And Saturday morning, my dad and my mom woke me up to let me know my grandma died. So it's always been like that thing where like I wake up and I get scared that like something's going to happen, especially on like Friday nights still. Like I still have it to this day where like sometimes Friday nights, like I get really so much anxiety because I'm like, oh my God, is something going to happen Saturday morning? Because that's just what happened. But when I was talking to my grandma on the phone while I was riding my bike, I fell off my bike and the phone hung up. And I was like, I'll call her tomorrow. And then, so it was always like that thing where it was like, I would, you know, you wish you had that last conversation, and, you know, it's, you know, and it's been that thing. And, you know, so yeah. And that's the thing, like, not like too, like with my parents, like my parents did the best too, but my parents also would send me to my grandparents a lot too. So I got very close, like I said, with my grandma, and then me and my grandpa ended up getting very close because he was the same way I was. He loved sports. He loved this, he loved that. And sports has always been in my life. I mean, I remember, bro, if you watch my, like, if I ever watch my baby videos, I said, if I was going to say you watch my baby videos, all you hear is like Stacey King, Hawk Harrelson, the old announcer for the bowl, like all of the old announcers, because that's all it was. So like that's why, like with the sports too, I think it's so comforting because that's all I've ever known. Even though my sports suck, you know, and it's even weird now. Like when the Sox games, I'm like, they start at 3:00. I'll sit here. They lose 10-0. I'm still sitting here watching. I don't know what it is, but it gives me that 3 hours to know, okay, I can relax. I can watch TV. Whatever. I don't know. It's like that's what I look forward to on a daily basis. So
it feels to me like it's a I don't know if I don't like the word escape, but
oh, it definitely is. That's the best word. Yeah, the escape. So I always call it my comfort or my comfort show or whatever, because like I've watched 2.5 Men like 9 times now. And I just it's still funny to this day. And I do have a very addictive personality. Like I'll start a show and I need to finish that show because
I'm right there with you. My roommate and I are currently binging Shameless. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Man, I've been trying to get my mom to watch. Okay. So how far are you into the series?
Season 8.
Okay. So Frank. Yeah, my dad. So that was the other thing is once I watched that too, it was like that's exactly how my dad is. Where it just like he like even like to this day, like he'll call me, like he called me last week and he was like, you and your sister are gonna buy me a car, right? Huh? I'm trying to pay rent and my sister's just got an internship and is getting married. Huh? Like you should be taking care of me and helping me. And it's like that's the biggest thing that bothers me like about my parents now, where like I'm live every day, bro. I've been live every day for the last 4 years for the same shows. Raw doesn't change, SmackDown doesn't change. And my parents will still call me every Monday and Friday. What are you doing? Hey mom, I'm watching Raw. Why didn't you come and do this and that? And you know, like I said, my mom's busy, and my other grandma that got cancer, my grandma ended up getting dementia, and that was part of the reason why we had to move out here. And she was the one that ended up just passing away that I was talking to you about, that we had to go to the funeral for Chicago. So like that's been a lot of all that's been like, you know, and like that's kind of been bringing up. So like even like now, like I watch like 2.5 Men, I get upset because like that was our show. So it's like I kind of, you know, but I'm older and I understand it. So it's like I'm trying, you know, but I still have my moments and everything else like that. So I know I'm getting off track here. I don't know.
No, man. No. So. You're right. You're right on track, because what's the thing is, like, we can recognize, and I see you. I'm currently back and forth with the same mentality that you're talking about. And I think that that's just the thing that as humans, we are going to have to battle with throughout our life. If we've had parents that we know have tried their best and they likely didn't have a good upbringing either. And because like when you have parents that are not attentive, or parents that are neglectful in any way, there's a reason that happened. It's usually because they had something in there. They had neglectful parents themselves, or whatever the situation is. But we can acknowledge that they did what they could with what they knew, but also that now you are left with, you kind of had to fend for yourself. And now you have to figure out stuff about how to take care of yourself now as an adult. And the thing that kind of sucks is that if they didn't go through that maturing phase or go through the healing phase of trying to figure out their past and how that affected them as people, now you're kind of in this situation where as adults, they not only were they absent for you as a kid, well, now they want you as an adult to take care of them. And that's the part that's like, I'm still trying to figure out how to take care of me. Thanks. And so I completely, when you're saying all of that, I completely, I know that experience. But we can acknowledge that they're people, they're human beings, and they're going to have their deficiencies. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where I needed more from them. And now as an adult, I am having to learning to fend for myself. And that's hard. And on top of that, my parents are still alive and they are wanting me to help fend for them while fending for myself. So, dude, it's hard. And we can say that. like we can say that it's not bad mouthing, it's not talking bad. It's just that they're human beings and there are mistakes they made that affected you negatively, and to this day you're having to figure out.
Yeah. And I always tell my mom that, because she's like, well, what can I do? I'm like, Mom, there's nothing you can do. I mean, it happened so long ago, but like, she just has to understand where it's like, I don't like seeing her drink. I don't like, because like she starts talking, and I don't know if you ever feel like you ever like a smell, or if you see like a highlight or something, or like I'll watch a WrestleMania and I'll be like, oh my God, I remember watching, because me and Corey would have like WrestleMania parties. We'd have a couple of each of our friends come over. Like I'm like, I remember this and that. So like my mom will start, it brings me back to like when she'd be like, I'll be right back, or oh, this and that, or the bathroom, or the freaking, like we had a game room, bro. You got like, it was just all of it. Like it was just, the house was like so cool that but it all makes sense now. And it just was one of those things that me and my mom have had these conversations, and we've still have had our fights, and we still have this and that. But the biggest thing with me is consistency. And I even tell this people now with my friends, like, I need consistency. I need people that I know that are going to be there, that were like, I've had so many, especially girls, where like they talk to me, they use me, they're, oh, hey, send me $20. And then I'm an idiot. And at first I did it because I thought, whatever. And then they're, oh, bye, blocked. But I've learned from that and everything else like that. But I've gotten to the point where I don't help anybody. I try my best too. If you show me that you can give me an effort, I'll do the same for you. But I can't do stuff for you and continue to do and continue to do and continue to do and continue. And you show no effort. Where like my grandma died and nobody showed up at the funeral, my friends that I invited. I asked one of my friends, I said, can you just please? I'm like, I'm not asking for anything. I just need you. I need you to be there. I texted her 8 times and got nothing until 8 o'clock. And it was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sleeping. And it's just like, it just hurts, because it's just like, she called me one day at 7 a.m. and I dropped everything and went right over there and made sure she was okay. And I just want someone to be there for me. Like, I wait for people to text me now. I don't call them. I don't text them. And there's people like Corey, me and Corey still talk, but Corey's got a couple kids. He's getting married. He's got dogs, and he lives in Arizona now. So we don't see each other, but I still call him. I still text him. We talked this morning. I talked to him today about Randy Orton and John Cena, and he's still there. He shows the initiative. His girlfriend shows the initiative, and they're 800 miles away. And it just sucks. Like, there's a few friends I have in Chicago that like have stopped talking to me because one's dating my ex-girlfriend, and now she's crazy and doesn't want him talking to me. So he hasn't talked to me in 8 months. And it just like, I have so much inconsistency that I feel better being alone. And that's the other thing is I've just got accepted to the point where like, I don't mind being alone, where like, I like just okay, 3 o'clock, I got to watch the Sox game. I don't need to worry about being somewhere. I don't need about worrying about some girl or girlfriend or this and that. And I do want a girlfriend. Of course, having a girl is amazing, but like, and that's the other thing. I'm not going to like be like, hey, I'll hang out with you, but I'm going to not watch Raw. No, I'm home at 7 o'clock. I got to watch Raw. There's no excuse. I got things to do. I don't got time to sit here and twiddle my thumbs and, because a lot of my friends don't work. A lot of my friends don't have jobs. And I got to get up every day. I got to go to work. Like, I don't want to. But I get up, I go, I do it, and then I come home and I'm live. And that's the thing. Like, I get paid for being on YouTube. So it's not like I'm just sitting here watching Raw and SmackDown for nothing. It's like, and there's times where I see people and like I've had interactions with people from like the White Sox, and I've been on the NFL Network. I've been on the White Sox postgame and pregame show. I was on, like, they made like a video for the White Sox at Sox Fest, and my picture was the one that they picked out of the thousands of pictures, and my Southside Boys logo was on there. So it just like, that's the, I don't have time to, and that's where like, I would, like I said, drop everything for people. I don't do that no more. Where I do it sometimes, but most of the time I'm busy and I got things to do, and I'm sorry. If you want to come and hang out, and there's a chair right here, you want to come and watch the show with me, that's awesome. But if you don't, I understand you don't like wrestling. But if you want to be my friend and hang out and support me, sit here. We hang out, we talk, and it's not like if I'm watching Raw and SmackDown, we need to be quiet because I'm just sitting here watching it. Like, it's better if like people are in the chat. If I have a couple friends over, like Alex and Corey would come over and be on there, and it was one of the best episodes because it would fly by and we're just sitting there talking and making fun of each other. So, and that's been the biggest thing, where I just so much abandonment and trust issues with people that like it's gotten to the point too where like I don't even trust if anybody, like even with the podcast too. Like, I would be like, hey, you want to come on the show? And they wouldn't show up. And I'm sure you guys know this. Yeah. It takes time. You got to make the thumbnail. You set up. You got questions. I'm sure you did research. Like, what if I didn't show up? You guys be like, this guy, really? Like, we set this up. We made this thumbnail. And it's just like, no. It's like, if you say something, do it. So I've lost so many friends, too, where I ask them to come on and they don't show up. And it goes back to just showing up. It's not that hard. It's a StreamYard link. You press come in. It's not like, so... And again, if that's not what you want to do, but then just don't say you're going to,
Mhm.
because then that goes back to you just want to be on freaking, you know, like Corey today, he's on the phone. He's like, make sure you shout out my YouTube channel that I never post on. I'm like, shut up.
Look,
I'm like, be quiet.
I think what you're saying, I'm sure resonates with everyone. It definitely resonates with me. I have gone through similar experiences with abandonment and that feeling of wanting consistency in people showing up. Specifically, if you didn't have like a feminine attention when you were a kid, like if you didn't have that consistently, it's very common for you to crave that as an adult, to kind of be like, so you know, women not like mistreating you or walking away from you, that stuff's going to hit even harder, because if you didn't have that as a kid, you're now looking for it as an adult, and if you don't get it as an adult, it's very easy for that to start to make you very cynical and very angry.
Just the point where it's gotten, where it just like, I'm not asking for a lot. Like, I'm not that guy that's gonna bring you home and bring you to bed. Like, I don't want, like, I would rather, like, I had one of my friends show up, like one girl that I've been talking to for a little bit, and we've just been friends and everything. She showed up on Saturday and watched a pay-per-view with me. Like I said, like 2 minutes ago, I'm like, and she did that, and it meant so much to me. And I still tell her, I'm like, thank you. I'm like, you don't understand how much that meant, because people don't do that. Like, it just, and that's all I like want, because of course, like, if I'm not live, I don't want to sit in the house and I don't want to do this, but there's certain shows I can't miss. I can't control that Raw's on at 7 o'clock every Monday. I can't control SmackDown's on for 3 hours now. I can't control, you know what I mean? I can't control WrestleMania's 18 hours during fucking Easter weekend. Like, I got so many views and so many subscribers that I wouldn't have gotten if I would have taken that time. And you know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm missing that time, but I'm trying to make this up. I want to be one of the Pat McAfee's, the Logan Pauls, the YouTubers that are going off that are now becoming wrestlers. I'm not becoming a wrestler, but listen, WWE or AEW call for a broadcaster or something.
Yeah.
You know? What's up? So yeah. That's like my biggest thing. And that's just that's like been the biggest thing, like the motivation and giving me the confidence to where, like, even like the White Sox, like I would have an anxiety attack if the White Sox lost, where like I was a miserable prick to be around. I would not want to talk to you. And it just became, but I finally just realized, like, okay, there's another game tomorrow. They suck. You know, it is what it is. And I just realized, like, just because the White Sox lose, I still have to do a podcast. Or just because I don't like that John Cena turned heel, I'm still got to watch WrestleMania. What am I going to do? Not watch it because John Cena's a bad guy? Oh, it's awesome to watch him say that he's been raising us for 20 years. He did. He raised me. As you said earlier, it became my escape. He escaped me from my reality during my childhood. So, you know,
that's exactly that's how I feel about, you know, Dragon Ball. That was my parents in some way, where my moral
is amazing.
That's where
I love Dragon Ball Z too. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I like a little bit of everything. You know.
I think, like I said, I really resonate with what you're saying there. With that's what you had when stuff was difficult in your childhood. The stuff that was consistent for you was sports. It was what you could go to when things were challenging at home. And if you didn't have a home that was stable, that's where escapes come from. That's where I know, because I experienced it. And so I completely, I can understand where the challenge is for you. And the good thing about being an adult, becoming an adult, and I'm sure you're learning, because I'm learning that as we go too, is that, like, now you can build your own stuff. Like, now you can have something that you love, that you have consistency over, that you can control. You're going to be on at this time, and you're going to be there, and you're going to put in the effort, and you're going to make it work. And I think that's the beauty of, like, when we become adults, is that, like, now we have the ability to, like, we don't have to settle with the idea of we don't have control over our lives. And I think that that's what you and I are working on right now, is that, hey, like, we can build something that we love and that is consistent and that we are a part of and is forever a part of us. So when I see you doing this, man, I have to tell you, like, I commend you for your consistency and the effort that you're putting, because I can see the difference in talking to you right now. And sure, there's a lot of stuff that you've had to go through, and that wasn't fun. That was difficult, and you're still going through stuff. But for you to still show up and still make the effort after all the stuff that you've gone through and continue to go through, I think it's worth commending, and it's worth. You are worth being around, and that you are worthy of people being around you. You're worthy of having friends that stick around and have your back and are consistent. So I just want you to know that, okay?
Well, yeah, and I mean that's been the biggest thing, and I mean, God, I lost my train of thought. Damn it.
No, man.
Yeah, well, I lost where I was going with that. But I mean, that's just, that's been the biggest thing, and that's what it was. I mean, you saying that, and honestly, I didn't even think about that because the podcast is, and that's why when I said I wanted to start it in 2020, and then when I started the live streaming, I told everybody, I'm not gonna do this until I know I can be consistent. Because that's the biggest thing. That's what people love. People love knowing. And I have friends that like in 2020 that I met, and now there's almost 17 years old. And there's like one friend that I have, his name's J Dog on my channel, and he comes in every show. He hangs out, and we have our arguments, we have our fights, we have this and that. But he's become honestly a really good friend. Where like we talk about the wrestling, something happens with sports, he texts me, and this and that. Where it just like I've kind of like been there for him his entire childhood. That like I'm that guy that he knew every Monday, Friday, NXT, AEW, pay-per-views, like everything. I'm there gaming. You want to chat, you want to talk, whatever. And it really has helped me. And even doing podcasts like this, even just like you saying that, like it just kind of like hit me. It's like, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I've been trying to do is build, because I never have had that in my life. And I know that people could rely on me. And that's why I hate when like I don't have a show planned. Like this weekend, I hate taking days off. But when it gets to the point where last Friday I fell asleep during the Hall of Fame because it was on at 2 a.m, I was like, okay, I need to take a couple days off here because I feel like if I'm a little bit more energized, I'll be, but I try to make sure I do everything, because there's times where people like, I come here to watch you, and that's what I look forward to on a daily basis. And that's kind of like I said, I look forward to the White Sox games. And, I'm sure the days that I'm not live, like J Dog, he could text me. But there's certain people, obviously, we have a different relationship because I'm Tino. I'm Tino's time instead of Trent, and, Trent Tino and my T or whatever my mom and, everybody wants to call me. Like, there's two different people that I always say it's the hat. For some reason, I don't know what it is. It's the hat. When I put the hat on, I feel like I'm like Tino. And then when I take the hat off, I feel like I'm Trent. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just it's funny because I never used to wear a hat either. And I was just like, so.
It's a character, man. You build
a so, and that's, and that's been the biggest thing too, because I do a lot of research. I study. I mean, I'm sure, you got to watch podcasts. You got to listen to things. You got to see, you got to find translations. You got to find, and that's what I mean. Like people, they're like, how do you do this? I'm like, this is just what I do. This is what gives me energy. This is what makes my days go by. This is what, I like today today's my mom's birthday. Shout out to my mom when this comes out. But like I don't have, like, if it wasn't my mom's birthday and I didn't have a podcast to do, I wouldn't know what the heck to do, because I love doing it. I love going live. There's some episodes that don't do great, but I still like doing it. There's sometimes I get a subscriber or two. Subscriber I wouldn't get if I didn't do it. Or last night I posted that video about John Cena, Randy Orton, and I thought about it. I was like, should I not? Maybe, I don't know. I was like, I'm gonna do it, and it got over like 5,000 views. I'm like, or I don't know, something like that. I don't know exactly, but it like got a lot of views, and I'm like, see. And it took me 13 seconds exactly, I think it was. And it just, but that's what I do. And I'm live. I'm post. And when it says Tino's time, there's nobody else. It's me. I make the thumbnails. I post. I share. I do. Nobody helps me. Like, that's the other, you know what I mean? Like, and that's like the biggest problem where like people are like, well, I just, this and that. But they like don't get like how big that people can be, like Logan Paul's or Mr. Beast, the Kai Sense. I Show Speed was in the freaking Royal Rumble in January. Like Logan Paul's competed at 5 WrestleManias, and he started just like us. So it just, you don't know. And that's my worry. And that's what I always like to tell people. Don't be calling me when I'm on one of these, because you weren't there for the first episode. You weren't there for this. I asked you to buy merchandise. And then my family, they're like, why am I going to wear that shit? What do you mean? What's wrong with the t-shirts? What's wrong? I think my logo is pretty cool. Deech, my Southside Boys co-host, makes some pretty good logos. I think they're pretty good. I don't think it's just like, it's rude. It's like, but then my family, like, oh, can you donate $100 to my cousin for baseball? Huh? But you can't buy a $20 t-shirt to help me get, my first check for making merchandise. It's just like, come on. So
you do know that sometimes people like to attack things that make them feel small.
Oh, I know. And that's what I've learned too, where I've just kind of given up, where I just don't even care. Where like I just got a text from somebody, and it's just like, it's like, okay, so now it's okay for you to text me. It's just like, come on. I'm only there when it benefits you. I need people that are like, I feel like I said, that's why I said I feel better being alone or having like the few people I talk to, because then I'm not getting hurt. I'm not getting like whatever, because I protect myself a lot. And it sucks because I have ruined relationships, but I've also built a lot more relationships where like, I don't know if Jake is listening to this right now or if Jake is whatever, but I ran into Jake at a resale store. I don't know if he remembers this, but I remember running into Jake and he was talking to me and this and that. I just remember looking down. He was with one of his friends, maybe his girlfriend at the time, if he had one, I don't remember. But I just remember like not talking. I remember doing this and that. And it was just because I didn't see him in a while. I thought he was going to bully me, and me and Jake always got along, but it was just, I had so much trauma from seeing people at high school where like people would come up to me, be like, oh, it's Trentino, the cripple or this. And it's just like in the mall, in Orland Mall, they would come up. So it was like every time I saw somebody out of high school, I was scared. But it's like now it's like I'm talking to Jake. And I think like if I ever did go back to Chicago or like if we ever got together, you know, whatever, it's like I can hang out with you guys. I can do this. Where like before I was so afraid because I was so afraid of getting judged, to where like now I just don't care. Like if you want to judge me, judge me. I don't care, because guess what? I'm gonna go home tomorrow and watch Raw and go live and hang out with all my subscribers. Because
bullying,
you know,
bullying comes from the lack of self-esteem for those people too. Like
and that's what I've learned too from a lot of people, that like there's a lot of people from high school that aren't doing the best, that were like the populars, that were like the bad or whatever, or the girls that are pregnant, bro. If I get another Snapchat premium girl, or if I get some girl from high school being like, what's up, how are, and get away from me. No. Where were you when I was like, come on. Just like, come on, they can really go away. And I've had that happen with so many people where it's just like, come on, like, oh, not how this works.
The good thing that, like I mentioned to you earlier, that what we can do now, because what I'm learning too, and I'm sure you're learning it too as we go, is that we ultimately only have control over what we do. And as much faith as I would like to have on that, everybody's going to do exactly what they're supposed to do, in my view, of like what's right and wrong. There's going to be times where people are going to do things that, not intentionally, most of the time, I don't believe that most people are doing things to hurt anybody, but I do think that a lot of times when they don't show up or don't do the thing that I wanted them to do, there's stuff going on for them too.
Yeah, and I got a perfect story for you.
Go for it.
Go ahead. So, was there anything else? But
just that it's just that there's a lot. I'm learning that there's a lot going on for other people too, and so I'm trying to figure out what's going on for them because a lot of times it's mostly it's stuff that they got going on, and I try to think like, what did I do wrong? You know, what did I do to hurt them? And I start getting defensive, and I'm like, but I've been a good friend, I've been there. How come they don't do that for me? And I've just come to figure out that most of the time it's not a reflection of me; it's a reflection of stuff they got going on.
Yeah, and I got the perfect story. So
yeah, go for it.
Back in I know all my years too. It's so funny. 2018, 2014, my mom started working at Dave & Buster's. So she was a manager. She was, this and that. So as I talked about with sports, my mom at the time, single mom, living in an apartment, doing this and that, wasn't the best. So, DirecTV bullshit, you had to pay for the sports network channel, all the package, whatever. Well, she couldn't. So instead, Dave & Buster's was down the street and she worked there. So I started going to Dave & Buster's. I'd watch the games. I'd do this and that. I'd do yada, yada, yada. And I started playing the games. I started like figuring out a way to play one game. And there was a guy that helped me. And there was like other games that I ended up figuring out and this and that. So I ended up playing some of the games. I would win a bunch of tickets. I'd win a system or two. I'd whatever, this and that. And I would use my own money. And then there were times I'd use the manager card because I would start going there and everybody would be like, we know Trent, what's up? Here's a free power card, because I would just sit there and watch the games, the Bears, the Sox, the Bulls, during like the Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant, Thunder, Warriors. I started getting close to the bartenders. We'd go out to the bar after, we'd hang out and this and that. Well, one of the managers ended up accusing me of thinking that I was stealing the systems, stealing money, and selling the systems for money and all of these shenanigans that wasn't true, that I would use my own money. I just was good at a couple of the video games. But there were also other people that were good at the games. Or there was a kid that had something and he had like some other disability or whatever. And I'm no judgment. I got no judgment for it because I'm same way. I'm like, what can I do? Can I help? And me and his dad started talking. But he would do the same thing. He like cranked the you ever see that fish game where like you crank it?
Yeah.
He like would crank it and win the 1,000 every time. I'm like, so you're not yelling at this guy, but just because my mom works here and you think this and that. So they stopped allowing me playing the video games. So I wasn't allowed to play the video games, but my mom was like, listen, sports are important to him. Like we've talked about sports. I mean, everybody's just gonna know this episode by sports.
Yeah.
So I would go there. I ended up walking up there all the time, and I ended up losing a lot of weight too, because I did get a little chunky after high school and I got a little fat. So I did end up losing a lot of weight too. That kind of ended up helping, but I was only able to go up there and watch the sports. They literally would not let me play the video game. It was stupid. I was like, are you guys serious? I'm like, come on. I'm like, I'm not doing any. I was literally just playing the games, buying power cards, and just good at the games. They were just mad because I was winning a lot of tickets. And it's just like there were so many other, but there was a person I would walk out with a Nintendo, what was it, the Wii before the
Wii U?
Yeah, the Wii U. And then they would walk out with like 4 of them. I'm like, so you're not gonna, then he would play like Angry Birds. I'm like, so like what, like why are you yelling at me? So I would go up there every Sunday, I'd still watch the games. And I ended up going to my cousin's wedding in Florida and everything and all this and that. And when we left, I got like very upset. I really missed them. It was like me and my cousins were really close. And they were actually the ones that got me into wrestling, the sports, the fantasy football. So it was like when I do see them, it was nice. And when we left, I got really upset. And so when I started, it started to get into the point where I was going to Dave & Buster's every single day because I wanted to watch sports. And as I've talked about with my family, it wasn't the best house and it wasn't the best. And my mom started dating this guy and he moved in right away. And it was like, we would get into fights. He would argue. There was one time he grabbed me and dragged me up the stairs. Like it was like he stomped on my head. He pushed my mom through the door. Like it was just really bad. So like Dave & Buster's became my safe place. Whereas I talked about like my house is now my safe. Like I didn't have that safe place. Like I said, middle school, I didn't have anywhere to go. So Dave & Buster's became that place. And as I talked about earlier, getting close to people, I started to get really close with this bartender. Her name was Christine. She would talk to me. She would everything. Like, I would go up there and I wouldn't even have to ask for I would drink Coke Zero at the time because I was trying to stop drinking pop. I wouldn't even have to ask. I'd sit at the bar. She'd already have the Coke sitting there. And I would ask her for food. We would talk. We would do this and that. And she just became that person. Like I've talked about my grandma, my friends, my ex-girlfriends, whatever. And she was just a friend. I mean, yeah, she was pretty. She was blonde. I have a problem with blonde, whatever. But like she had a boyfriend. She had a kid. She had this. Like it wasn't anything. Like I wasn't like, okay, yeah, maybe if she tried to whatever, but I wasn't gonna like make an initiative. Like I just wasn't like that. Like it was just nice to have a friend to talk to and be there. But it got to the point where it was like she became like, if she wasn't talking to me, like my anxiety would go through the roof. I really needed somebody to talk to. I really this and that. And she was
like an attachment, right?
Yeah. And she was there, but her boyfriend was kind of crazy. And her boyfriend was like this and that, where, a lot of boyfriends are, don't talk to my girl. You're going to do blah, 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 this and that. So it just was one of those things that it just, me and her got very, very close. Well, some things happened at Dave & Buster's with her and everything else like that. And, and we still like, before she ended up leaving and quitting, or I still don't know the full story.
Yeah.
Like I said, she'd be like, I would ask her, like, can you take me to the mall? Can you take me to McDonald's? Can you drive me home? Because at the time I didn't have a car either. So I was walking back and forth. So there's times I just didn't want to walk because I was all sweaty and shit. I'm like, can you just, I'm like, I'll give you a couple dollars. I'd buy her a pack of cigarettes or whatever. And it just became like, she became just that person that I knew I could rely on. Well, one day she left and she's like, I'll text you. Well, she texted me for one day, and at the time I was working with my uncle, and I go on Facebook and she blocks me. And it just brought up all of the trauma, the anxiety, the depression, all of it. And I just broke down. I was soft. It was like a breakup that it wasn't a breakup because I wasn't in a relationship with her. It was just nice to have a friend. And it was nice. I finally felt like I could have that person I could rely on, where if I'm having anxiety, I'd be like, hey, are you up to talk? Or
it was consistency again.
And and I didn't even start with the consistency until like 2 months ago, because that's what I just finally realized. I'm like, the biggest problem is consistency, because like I have like my friend Alex, where he'll leave and then he'll not talk to me for 6 months and then he'll talk to me for 4 months. Like I've lived in Wisconsin for a year and nobody's come up here, and my friends that live close enough, other like, because Corey, I leave Corey out of this because Corey's in Arizona. He has the fly set. Like there's people from Chicago. For 10 years, I lived in my mom's house. I lived in the basement. It was, I don't want to come to mommy's house. I don't want to come to the house because you're in mommy's basement, this and that. Bro, I got a whole house I wish I could show you right now. And it's me and my dog. So it's just one of those things that it just like, Yeah, I just where was I going with this? God damn, I lost my train
It's
of thought.
consistency, man. That's that
So,
girl that you were talking to.
Christine.
Yeah.
There we go, Christine. So, sorry, I forgot.
No,
Oh
that's
yeah,
okay.
so Christine, she blocked me, and I didn't know what happened. And for years, this happened in 2018. I remember I was working with Alex and my uncle. We were doing a house because my uncle does construction. My whole family's like laborers and construction
Yeah.
workers. And I go on there to try to text her, and it says this person isn't available. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know what happened. And nobody told me. And so I still would go to Dave & Buster's for a little bit of period of time or everything else like that. But it got to the point where I realized like that was the problem. I needed to get out of Dave & Buster's. I needed to step away and realize like there's more to everything Dave & Buster's, because it was just, but it became my place. It became like, I always remember my friend Ant, and me and my friend Ant still talk, but we didn't get along for a while. And he made a comment. He goes, bro, I swear you don't know nothing but these four walls. And I don't know why it still sticks with me, but he said it one day and I'm like, what? I'm like, and again, it was because I did it. And the only person I told anything about anything to was Christine. So nobody really knew why I was there every day. Nobody really, they're like, oh, well, Trent's here. But they didn't realize it was because I wanted to watch the games. I was trying to get away from my stepdad and my mom at the time because things were really bad. And just, I was just trying to find that. So, it was the best thing for Christine to probably do that for me, because then obviously after 2018, 2019, I started the podcast and here we are. But literally, bro, 2 months ago was the first time I heard from Christine. She texted my mom and goes, I am so sorry. I had no idea. I ended up having the guy I guess she was with ended up dying. She had a couple other things go on. And like, even just talking about it now, like the relief that went through my body, because it was like for 8 years, I don't know. What did I do? Did I say something?
Right.
Did you think
You
I was
thought it was
stalking
you.
you?
Yeah.
Did you think I was creeping? Like what? Because there was nothing that I wasn't trying to make advances. I just appreciated her being there for me and talking to me and all of that. And it was just, and that was my biggest thing. Like I would always be like, can I ask you for a huge favor? And she'd be like, what? And I'd be like, can you just talk to me? And I'm just like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? How's your day? Like, I'm not asking to talk about my life. I'm just asking to talk so I know someone's there. And so we ended up having a situation where one of the bartenders that was still at Dave & Buster's at the time texted my mom and told her what I was doing, about how I was upset and I was crying. And they were saying that I was like ruining their work day because I was an emotional wreck. So it got to the point where I was just like, that's it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, go fuck yourselves. I'm like, I don't know if I could swear. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Cut that out.
No, you're okay.
I'm like, so I finally got out of it, and that's where I started to feel better. But for 8 years, I didn't know what happened with Christine. So talking and just reading that message that my mom got from her. Yes, I may never hear from her again, but just knowing it wasn't something I did, that I wasn't like a creep. I wasn't like being a weirdo, like because I wasn't trying to do any of that. And I think about it now, I probably did ask for a lot. I probably did ask too much. I did probably ask her too much to talk, and I feel bad. But it was just that's what it was, because it was just, and I did have other friends. I did have this and that, but like Dave & Buster's, like my friend Corey would have to like drag me out of Dave & Buster's. He'd be like, let's go to my house. And that's what I ended up doing. Like, that's kind of what got me out of Dave & Buster's. And I always thank Corey and Destiny for this, is they allowed me, and we stayed at the house and I hung out with them and they got me through it. And I actually have one of their dogs, that Nala, that got, like, I would go over there and she'd like cry when I would leave. She'd see a blue car at the time and she'd run to the car thinking it was me. So Corey and Destiny were very nice and figured out something, and they gave her my dog, and the dog has become like my like service animal, where I'm not as alone all the time. I'm not like this and that. But the whole situation with Christine, as you talked about earlier, was just, she had other things going on, but I just wish she could have just told me that. So for 8 years, I'm not sitting here like, what happened? Why did it take 8 years? And why did it take my mom messaging you for you just to say that? Because it would have made me feel better if you just said that instead of blocking me. Because that's my biggest fear with anybody now. I get so afraid one day I'm just going to go, like, I'll try to message Jake and he's going to block me. What did I do?
Right.
I like today, like, I think the episode's going great. So it's like, if you block, it's like, well, what did I do? I thought it went great. And we had a situation like that on one of our podcasts where they like told us to take the episode down. It was like, everybody thought it was a great episode, but like, why can't you just talk?
That. We've had, yeah. No, dude, I hear you, man.
So the Christine stuff is like, it kind of like before the podcast, but the podcast is what kind of got me out of it. But once you said that about the like other people, and it's like, and like I said, I would have completely understood. But it's just the fact that it took that for her to do it, especially when there were other things that came out about her that could have probably, yeah, long story. Anyway.
Man, no, I hear you. And it's worth noting that even though people don't mean to do things to hurt you, that there are things that they do that still hurt you. And I think that the balance that I'm learning, because I'm not the best at it yet, is to not judge people and be like, well, they're just bad people. Because that was always my alternative, was just that, okay, well, if they're doing things that are hurtful to me, then they must not be very good people. And I've learned that I'm still learning to empathize. And the only way I've learned to empathize more is to learn about why I do things that might hurt people too. Because, I myself, like you mentioned, there are things that you look back and you're like, maybe I did this the wrong way. Maybe I went about this the wrong way. I've had plenty of those instances too, where I look back, I'm like, you know what? I've bullied people before. I've mistreated people
Josh,
before.
You were one of them, man.
I know. I know.
You're actually one of the only few nice ones.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I was to my close friends, actually, I was a bully. I was not very nice. But the reason I can tell you that I know what goes through the mind of a bully is that I've experienced it. That lack of confidence, lack of what do you call it, self-esteem, all that stuff. That's where it comes from. It's just people that they didn't feel like enough, and so they want to make people feel like less, so that they don't feel as bad about themselves. And so I'm learning both sides of the aisle, because I've been there now. I've been on one side where I've hurt people, and then I've been on the other side where I've been hurt. And so like there's this balance I'm trying to find, and that's the hard part of like, it doesn't reflect what they do to me, doesn't reflect anything about me. It reflects about themselves. And that's the part that is a little bit difficult to grasp at first, where it's like, well, what did I do is always the first response, and learning that it's not about you in those situations is the hard part. And hey, man, let me tell you something. First of all, like based off their background, first, let me just reference what you've just told me. You've experienced neglect emotionally, physically. You were abused. You were mistreated by your friends, the people who are supposed to be closest to you. And yet here you are trying to create something that is welcoming to other people, that is able to give them something to listen to, that feels consistent, that gives them something to get away from whatever situation they're in. I think is super commendable and worth addressing, and saying that I think that it's really impressive, despite your challenges, that you're able to do, that you're doing this. And I think that
I do definitely want to say, like, my relationship with my stepdad and my mom are definitely better as like the years went on, and it's still the same stepdad and everything in our relationship. Like, we still have our fights and everything, but it's not what it once was and everything. So it's like, I don't want people to think like, this and that, because that's like, what it is. And it's like, as we've gotten older and as I've become, because he's been there now since I was 17. So it's like, now that I'm almost 29. Oh my God, that's 12 years. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, I didn't realize. But it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, there's a lot of things that happen, and there's a lot of things. And like, that's why like, I even said earlier about the weed, like it gave me a different mindset. Like even the stuff with Christine, it was like, okay, like, why am I getting upset if some girl's not talking to me? Why am I getting upset if the White Sox lose a game? Why am I getting upset? Like, what I mean? Like, I could go play video games. And I just finally learned to like do things to where like, I'll still make plans with people, but I do get ditched a lot, and I do get let down a lot. But what I do now is, okay, you know what? You're not going to show up. I'm going to, socks are out at 3 o'clock. I don't care if you're not like, and that's what I do. Like, there's times where like today, like if somebody were to hang out, I got till 3 o'clock. If you want to hang out until 3 o'clock, it's awesome. And if you don't, I got to watch the Sox game, because guess who has to go live on Thursday to talk about this team every Thursday? I do. You don't have to. I do. I have to watch the Raws, the interviews, the draft. I got to know all these things. So when I'm doing my fantasy football or my shows, people aren't like, what are you talking about? Who is Joe Schmo that wasn't even drafted? No, I got to know Cam Ward got drafted #1 by the Tennessee Titans. It just.
Yeah. No, it's not bad mouthing. I just want to make that clear. You're not bad mouthing by telling people your experience. I think that's the taboo I want to break, is the idea that you tell your story, how you experienced it. It's not bad mouthing, because you're not saying that they're bad people for having done it. You're saying that you experienced this and it hurt you. And there's a difference between you going and saying like, you should, this person's horrible and they should get whatever negative thing happened to them. And
it's so funny that I say that. As I said that about the quarterback, the Browns just drafted Deion Sanders' son after all this controversy all the last 3 days when this is being recorded on day 3 of the draft. I just got the notification, so I thought that was funny as I said Cam Ward. But yeah.
No, that's funny. That's good timing. I think that we got to get away from saying that you're bad mouthing somebody by telling your story, because you regardless of your relationship with them now, which I'm sure you've worked on and improved, and it's not as bad as it was. It doesn't mean that you didn't experience what you experienced, and it doesn't mean that all of a sudden that stuff didn't affect you, because it's obviously to this day it's something you're still having to deal with.
Yeah.
So,
and like that's the thing, like, okay, like perfect example right now is like we're like, okay, like we're like doing this and everything, but because he just got drafted, like I make a quick short, I post it, and it gets a bunch of views. And that's like what I mean. Like we're like, as soon as news breaks, I'm posting it, because that's how you got to get some views. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and I can multitask because I've learned how to do it, but this is what happens. Like I'm live and I'm like, oh shoot, John Cena I got to make a short. So it's just like, and you got to do it because, you know, people are like, well, who got drafted? Because I'm sure not everybody saw it. So like, that's where I try to take advantage of it, because, you know, you never know. And it just, so.
You're on it, man. I think that's the consistency is clear in the work that you do. Before we wrap things up, I do want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to fill in any gaps. Was there anything you want to talk about before we get off?
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know I've covered a lot. I mean, like, you know, like I said, I mean, you know, no, I mean, no, I feel like we've covered it all. I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, I mean, I do, like I said, I do have like sisters and everything else, and I do have other family members and everything.
Well, let's talk about that. What was your experience with your siblings?
I mean, my siblings were, you know, we've had our good and our bads. We fought. We've had our bad experiences and everything else like that. And me and my one sister are only 5 years apart, and my other sister is she was born in 2013, so that is 11 years of something. I don't know what. Okay. So she's 11. 12, she'll be 12 or something. So we're very more far apart. But when she was first born, we were in junior and high school, and so I was always there. So like I spent the first 5 years of my life with her, or for the first 5 years of her life with her, growing up, this and that. Like she was bald until she was 3. It was so funny. It was just like she was like that. She just couldn't grow hair. But now she got long hair and she's this and that. But I don't see her a lot now because I obviously live in Wisconsin. She lives in Indiana. But I got those 5 years. So it's like, you know, like me and my other sister were a little bit closer in age. We don't get along the best, but like I got her into the Drake and Josh's, the Sweet Life of Dak and Cody's, the Disney Channel shows, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, like video games, like we would like all of it. So, and even to this day, like even like when I had like my little, I was like, you are not watching Bluey and all that BS. You are watching, and this is before that Quiet on the Set documentary came out. So don't judge me, but like, I mean, man, that's what like, you know, so like I've always been, and I know me and my sister don't have the best relationship, but I always tell them, I always let them, I'm always here. And I always tell anybody, I'm like, I'm always here if you need me, if you need anything, because that's just the type of person I am. But like I said, I've just throughout the last few years, especially last year, I've just gotten to the point where if you're not going to show anything for me, you're not, you know, because it takes 2.5 seconds to send a text, bro. You're telling me that you're not on your phone all day. And then it's funny where I have people catch themselves. They'll be like, oh, well, I saw your message. I just didn't open it. And then they're like, oh, well, I fell asleep. It's just like, so you didn't just catch yourself lying? Like, what? Like, huh? Like, it's not that hard to open a text message. But then the second that you need to, Trent, Tino, what are you doing? Do you have a show tonight? No. Where are you when, you know, and that, again, it goes back to it all just wraps around back to the same thing. So, you know, and that's like the thing where it's just like, I think a lot of the abandonment too, and I've talked to my mom and the doctors too, it may have to do with my twin, because I was like a twin that was attached. So like I do have like a bump on my head that like from like where we got like detached. So like they said that could be part of it, because I feel like I'm missing that
You're
part.
missing something. Yeah.
So it's like that's the other thing that kind of made me feel better, where it was just, and that's the thing, over the years I've gotten like so many answers and questions, and like I said about the bathroom earlier, like it was just, I got so many things that like just made my like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like I thought this bathroom had like some magic powers or something, and it was just because the stupid adults were doing stupid stuff. So, I was just like what the heck, and
No, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't really think about that. That it could be also related to, which, by the way, you still had a lot of stuff that happened that.
No, I know.
Even if you weren't a twin, it would still be a thing where it could potentially be a reason. But yeah, the twin thing, yeah, I'm sure that plays a factor. I'd have to talk to more people that have like grew up with twins to know what that experience is like. But I suspect it would probably be related to just feeling like a missing part or a link, a connection of some sort. Yeah.
Well, and that I think that's always been the thing where it's like I always talk to my mom about it because she's like, how long are you it's gonna take you to get over it? I'm like, I'm never gonna get over it. There's not like, and as sad as it is, my mom is now understanding the last month since my grandma died. It was her mom, so like she lost her mom and everything. She's kind of understanding because now like she'll call me on every Wednesday and is like, is this what you are feeling? I'm like, yes. I'm like, this is just, and it was worse in 2008 because I was 12. So it's like now I'm 28, I'm older, but I still have the smells. I still watch the White Sox game and I miss it. I can't call my grandpa and grandpa, especially when the White Sox were good for those few years. I was bawling every time the White Sox won or when the White Sox made the playoffs. It was the year after my grandpa died. And it was like, that's all he wanted to do was watch a playoff game. And he couldn't, and he didn't since 2009 or 8 and that's the thing about me. Notice what year I keep saying 2008 is like, it's so funny. Every time like something happens, it's always 2008 with me. So it just, so like that's been, rough year. That's when it all started, and it just sucked. Because before that, my house was great. Like I said, my house was party house. Everybody showed up, everybody came over, everybody did this and that. And then it all just went down. Like it got to the point, dude, my dad was selling the doors in our house. Like we drove past the house one time and there was literally cardboard or like boards on it that they had to put up because my dad sold everything. He destroyed it. And it was our childhood home. And it just like, it's like, I kind of want to go over there. Like I drive past every once in a while. I'm like, I kind of want to go over there and like knock on the door and be like, can I just walk through and just see what it looks like? Because they like redid the whole thing. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's all I got, and everyone had me come on and talk more. I got, as you see, I talk a lot. So
I first of all, I like to have guests that, to have guests on again. It's not always possible. But I always open that invitation.
It's like he heard me say his name. J-Dog just texted me.
I think there's something to be said about kind of what's the word? Manifesting.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they got that one wrestler. I don't know if you say his name and he appears. Right? He showed up at WrestleMania, Mr. Joe Hendry.
You might just have that magic touch to you then.
I mean,
but
I just
look, man. There's a lot that I didn't know about you and that I've learned from just this conversation. So I want to thank you for being so open because it's really hard to talk about some of that stuff. And
it is. And that's just what I've gotten to where like, I like you. Like this has been like a long ass therapy session that there's been things I've talked about that like, I don't mind talking to people, but I just don't trust people. I just everything that everybody talks about it goes back to somebody. It goes to this and that. I don't want anything that I said here to be like this and that, but it's what I've been through. But look at me now. Look at where I'm at. Where again, like I went from not thinking I'd get 100 views to hitting 1 million freaking views, having almost 10,000 like followers, not subscribers. Because my family, that's what really my family does. They keep saying subscribers, but they don't understand the difference because there's a huge difference. Where it's just like. So it's just like, it's awesome. I hit 1 million views, but I need to get like the subscribers and they don't understand the more people, it's all about the numbers with everybody. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you see the numbers, they're like, oh, let me be a part of it. Because again, how many people really watch Logan Paul until Logan Paul became this or that, or Mr. Beast until he came up and, so it just, and that's the thing, because once it does, I know, then my t-shirts will be cool and everything will be cool because it's, he's on ESPN because I'm not stopping. You could stop, you could try, but I'm not. I'll keep going. I'll fall asleep on a live stream. I don't care. I'm still live. Get those watch hours.
I think that it's worth noting that no, you're not here to talk badly of people. You're here to tell your story and to say, look what I've been able to accomplish despite.
And I hope my family does listen to this. And if I did say anything wrong, please yell at me. But I feel like I've been pretty honest and about everything. And there's been a lot of things I haven't said, and they like whatever. But that's just more or less because
well, there are things. First of all. Let me make it clear. When we have conversation on here, we talk about things that you are comfortable talking about. And so if there's ever anything that comes up, we always talk about, hey, just let me know and we don't go any further.
Well, you just gotta be that way too. Because even like when I have guests on the show, I'm like, how do you guys want to be introduced? What do you got? You know what I mean? That just, you gotta kind of like, and that's the biggest thing I've learned, because even with the broadcasting school, there was a lot of things I learned. But even like you talked about earlier, like I had to teach myself a lot. Like there's even like driving. Like my parents were afraid to take me driving. They wanted me to drive, but they didn't want me to drive their car. So how am I supposed to get practice driving if you don't want me to drive your car? I took driver's ed at Sandburg and failed it the first time because I almost went into oncoming traffic because I'm an idiot. But I also didn't get the practice.
No, you didn't get the practice, man.
And my grandpa taught me one time, but he put me on his lap and I ran into my mailbox. But that was like a 5-year-old. So it just, and now I'm not the greatest driver. I've still gotten into a couple car accidents. It's not been very good, but I've survived. I'm still here, and it's just a stupid car, and that's kind of the other thing, So it's just
you're still learning. It's okay. It's okay to still
be
learning.
Day by day is my new thing. People ask me, how are you? Day by day. It's Monday, or I don't even know, Saturday. I don't even know what day it is.
I have a couple of questions before we end the show.
I got all day. I got, like I said, I got till 3 o'clock. What you got?
So where can we follow you? Where can we see your work?
Well, Tino's Time on YouTube. I got a lot of them, so I'll go slow. But Tino's Time on YouTube is where I'm at all the time. So I always like to say, if you want to find me every day for the most part, like I said, besides these few days, I take a break every once in a while because I'm tired and I need some sleep. But usually every Raw, every SmackDown, unless some major, even like last Friday, we had to go to my grandma's funeral. We did this and that. We got everything done. We had a little hangout. We had the service. And I was still live at 7 o'clock. And usually somebody, but this has also become like where like I look forward to it. And that was the other thing that I didn't say. Instead of having nervous and even like this, like I was having a little anxiety and nervous about it, but I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to finally talk to Jake. I'm excited, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I've gotten to, where like I'm excited to do these things. And because that's even like what my friends are like, how did you do this? I mean, instead of being nervous, like even like I want to fly to Arizona. I have not flown yet. I want to fly, go see Corey. I want to give Corey a big fat hug like we're fucking Jake and Josh. And, like I miss Corey. So I'm like, I want to get on a plane. But I'm excited to go see Corey. So I think I can do it for like where like I've had 3 wrestlers on my channel. So Tino's Time all the time. Sorry. If you want to hear more stories, come and hang out on Tino's Time every day.
Absolutely.
Got the Southside Boys. We are on the road to 100 subscribers over there, and we are on the road to 3,000. I'm only 40 or 35 away to 2,900 on YouTube, and 100 more away to 3K. So we hit 3K by my birthday or around May. We'll officially have now hit 1,000 each year that I've like been on YouTube, which is, so it's going little by little, but I've been getting acknowledged by a lot. So Southside Boys, Tino's Time Wrestling. And then I am also a part of, I want to give them a shout out because I am affiliated with them and they've helped me out a lot. It's the Main Event Network crew on X and YouTube and all of them. So they've really helped me out. And that's been the biggest thing is I always say yes. You ask me for an interview? Yes, let's go. And I never say no unless I'm at a funeral or unless I absolutely can't. Right. Like even that call that we did it in the car. Like we had to be done. There was no, I needed it, so I find a way to do it. And like today's my mom's birthday, but we ain't going out till 5 o'clock. So I said, hey, Mom, I'm coming to record. I'm going to shower. I'll see you at 4 o'clock. And then we'll go out to dinner. So just got to figure out how to do it. And it just, it sucks. There's a lot of things I've missed, but I hope it all pays off. And I hope that one day my mom and, and my dad and everybody, that they could sit there and watch me on ESPN calling a White Sox game, being on a broadcast, even if it's just an interview. Like for people that, if you do listen to this, and if you get to the end of this episode, this is the other thing I've learned. Get to the end of this episode, and if you hear this, put some word in the chat. Josh, come up with some word they should put in the chat if they get this far.
Tino's Time.
There you go. Tino's Time. There you go. Put it in the chat. Tino's Time. Possibly during SummerSlam weekend in August, I possibly could be on a news station and like what's, I don't know if it's Wisconsin, Indiana, Chicago, like one of like the interviews we're talking and possibly having an interview. So that's like the thing where I say yes to everything. And I've just, because you don't know who's watching, you don't know who's going to be on there. And all it takes is that one thing. And
all it takes,
I'm getting that call and you guys are coming with me. So, and that's what I mean. I'm always here to help. Like I've said, you guys send me your link, send me that. That's why I got with the thumbnails. I'm like, always here to help. And I've had some situations where people say this and that, but I've never done anything that is like malicious unless you do something to me, because I'm not that type of person. I will help you till the day I die. But the second you mess me up, you do something to mess with me, No, I'm not messing. I'm not doing it because you're not going to take me. That's why, like, even with the podcast, like, if you say no once and don't show, or you say yes once and don't show up, you're never coming on again, because that looks bad on me. It looks bad on me when I set up a guest and then you don't show up, and then you don't come, and like I hype up the interview and then you don't come. It's like, what? Like, come on. So
I get your point of view. I mean,
So Tino's time wrestling, Southside Boys, all of that good stuff, Main Event Network, and like I said, I'm live every single day. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, gaming, interviews, everything. And, it don't stop. It never does. The wrestling don't have an off season, but we had a 12-hour off season. That's what we had. And now we're back at it. So
yeah,
here
man.
we are. I appreciate you guys so much. You don't understand. This is the first time I've actually done like a long thing like this where I've just talked about and opened up like this. I haven't really like opened up. So hopefully somebody gets something out of this. And hopefully we see some people. And like I said, where everybody should hopefully know where to find me. And
yeah, absolutely.
As people like to say, there's one guy, he goes, I forgot what exactly he goes. He goes, if you want to watch a show 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you don't know where to go to Tino's time. And he goes, it's every day. There's something. It's so great. And it's just the fact that people are doing that now. It's just, I never thought that I would, like I said, I didn't have any friends in middle school, high school. So the fact that I have people that look forward to watching me sit here and watch Raw every day, crazy.
You're doing the thing, man.
I'm doing that damn thing. Yes, sir.
Two things left. Have you discovered purpose? And if you haven't, what do you think it is? And if you have, what is your purpose?
Like, what is my purpose?
Yeah. What is it that you have?
I don't know if I have a purpose yet, but I've just accepted that this is just, like, I think the biggest thing with me is like, I've noticed like too, like, it's just keeping myself busy and keeping like doing things, because as I said, with the motivation, like I'm doing things like for my grandpa, because like, even like today I was Ubering and I swear I smelt like his cologne or something like that. And we used to Uber together. He was actually the one that I started Ubering with. So like, I feel like, and it's just so funny, like when things happen, like my grandma died on that Tuesday night a month ago. I woke up to 23,000 views. You're telling me that's a quick, like, come on. Like that just, so it just like, that's like my where I just believe in all that. And like, I don't know what exactly my purpose is going to be, but if I could entertain people, and there are times where I'm not as entertaining because I'm, exhausted, but I do my best every day to entertain everybody for 2-3 hours, or gaming or whatever I'm doing, because I'm a funny guy watching sports. I don't know if you have ever, but come and watch baseball or just come sit on a live stream or wrestling. I'm entertaining as hell sometimes. So, yeah.
I think you're on that path. You might not have the words for it yet, but I think you're on the path. And I firmly believe, based off what you're saying, and just this is why these conversations for me are just so fascinating, because I get to see kind of like what makes that person who they are, and just to see from the beginning of talking about all the bullying you've gone through, and dealing with abandonment, and not having friends to rely on, that you could rely on that stuff, how that's impacted you. And then now here we are, you have something that is controlled by you, that you get to dictate, hey, this is on when I want it to be, and it's not going to,
nobody can take it away. And that's the thing, like they could try and this and that, but what are they going to do? They can't, like, because I've had people that are like, well, and it's just, what are you going to do? Exactly. Nothing.
You're on that path, man. And there's going to be a lot of bumps, I'm sure. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that challenges you and makes you grow. And I think that's why we're here, is we're just here to learn the best that we can with what we have. And I think you're on that path. I see it now pretty clearly, that you're gonna, if you don't have the words yet, you're gonna have them not that far from the future.
I know. And I've noticed that as the years go on, like, and I forgot who said it. Somebody said it to me. They're like, it takes 5 years. And it's like, I'm kind of just hitting my 5 years. Like I started in 2020, but I really consider 2022 my first, because that's when I started actually showing my face. Like for 2 years, it was SoundCloud and Spotify. It was just my voice. But I didn't start getting off and going off until that SummerSlam in 2022, when I went live and I had like people and subscribe. It was like one of those chats that it's like, I want that. And that's the other thing. It gives me that like adrenaline. I don't know what it is, but it just gives me that like people are like, are you going to stop? I'm like, no, because once I hit 3,000, on to 4,000,
makes you feel alive.
10,000, 20. I ain't stopped. Nah. We going all the way, and I want to get an invitation to one of these 2K events, or go to freaking, like, these YouTubers go to WrestleMania for free in the 5th row, bro. Like, come on. That's what I'm trying to do.
You're going to get there. There's no doubt about it.
Me and Golden Sponge taking over.
I believe in you, man. Last question for you. If you could speak to your childhood self, what would you say?
Oh God, I wasn't expecting that question. I mean, I would just say it's gonna be okay, because I think that was the biggest thing for me, is I just didn't know if I'd ever get out of it, and I never know if I get out of like feeling like having the anxiety over the stupid White Sox, or having the, like, it would literally like ruin my, like, I couldn't like relax. And then it's like, if they won, it was like the best day of my life. So, but I've like learned to, like, and that's just the biggest thing. So just, it's going to be okay, because I always remember too, you said it earlier, like about the Sox being my escape in sports. I remember sitting outside on my apartment or condo patio crying to my mom one time about how I just said, like, the White Sox are always there. I can go to them every day. I could, like, and I just remember, like, it's one of those like memories, those core memories from freaking Inside Out that, I just always remember. So I just, that's the biggest thing, is it's going to be okay. You got this. You're going to get through this. And like, even like the Botox shots yesterday, like, I was so traumatized that I was afraid, but as I've done things, or driving on the expressway, like, I never did that. So like, I could drive to Chicago now. Like, I've drove to Chicago 4 times. And before that, I wouldn't leave Orland, Oak Forest area. So it's just like, it's going to be okay. You got this, and you just got to do it. And that's the biggest thing that I tell myself that daily, where just, because I do have a lot of bad days, but then I have really good days where, it just, oh yeah.
Thanks so much for being on, man. I can't thank you enough for sharing and for telling your story, because that's probably some of the scariest parts of healing, is telling the story. So thanks so much.
Hopefully somebody learns something, and hopefully somebody listening takes from it. And like I said, and if everybody wants to come in the chat and ask a question, I'm one of those where I don't mind. Just like, that was the thing. Like, before, like, people would like come up to like, "What's wrong with your hand?" It's like, why don't you just ask me what happened, instead of what's wrong with you? Your dad hit you with a. It's just because I've had people call me, they're like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" Or I have kids stare at me, because obviously kids stare, and they're, but. And it's just, it is what it is. But
it's worth getting to know you, man. It's worth getting to know you.
And that's the thing. There's more to me than just my hand looking like this. Where you get to know me, I'm one of the nicest people you ever do. And yes, I have my weird things, but we all do. Yes, I have an obsession with watching the White Sox. But like, okay, some whatever. Somebody has an obsession with watching anime. Like, we all got our own little things.
Yeah,
and we all
man.
just gotta
Thank you so much, man. We'll talk soon. And again, comment Tino's time when you get to the end of this. I'm looking
if you get to the end, then you better get to the end of this. You better listen all the way through.
They'll get to the end. At least we'll know the close friends listening will get to the end, and they should comment Tino's time.
If Corey doesn't, you better let me know, because I'm gonna yell at him. I told him before. I'm like, you better watch it.
We'll see. But we'll see you soon, man. Thank you so much.